Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining me once again here on Talk and Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today, courtesy of our friends across the pond at boxing247.com. But before we get into the headlines of the day, I want to circle back around to discuss Terence Crawford and his little spat with Al Heyman, not to mention his prior spat with Bob Arum. This all goes back to, basically Terence Crawford not thinking he's getting paid enough for his fighting in the ring at a champion at his level, and being able to, if you will, pick and choose the amount of monies that he's deserved. So he left Top Rank and is now, if you will, self-managed, and was attempting to negotiate directly with Al Heyman with respect to setting up a fight between himself and Errol Spence. And he brought to light the other day that there were two hedge funds offering $25 million apiece. Now, that to me sounded, quite frankly, a little unrealistic, simply because hedge funds aren't in the business of laying out money upfront without any guarantee of return. And if there's one thing that Bob Arum was adamant about, it's that Terence Crawford's value in the ring isn't as large as Terence Crawford believes it to be from a monetary perspective. So therefore, relying on, if you will, pay-per-view numbers, Bob Arum was saying, in a nutshell, Terence, you don't do enough talking, promoting, quite frankly, to interest me and or the fans, despite your wonderful record. So in a nutshell, Al Heyman offered him absolutely zero money guaranteed, yet an 80-20 split of the pay-per-view revenue, which didn't tickle the fancy of Terry Crawford very much. And so he went to, as I said, the hedge funds, apparently, who had approached him, confirmed that they were offering $25 million apiece to he and Errol Spence, and he went to Errol Spence. So now, if I may, I'm going to simply refer back to a couple of articles, which I have posted links to in the show's description down below here. So in a nutshell, Terence Crawford says he's mad at me for taking a fight with a tough opponent, David Avsnazian. You might not know him, but he's a tough opponent for a bigger purse. I guarantee that I wasn't going to get. No, you're crazy in the head. He's talking to Errol Spence here. So now we go back to square one. What do you expect? Do you expect me to be disrespected, run over, stepped on, and just sit there and take it? That's crazy. That ain't my style. Me personally, I wasn't even going to say nothing because I'm not the talkative type. And y'all pretty much know that. But sometimes you got to say what's real and say what's on your mind. You got to stop these people from doing what they want with you. A lot of people say, did you ask to see Bob Arum's books? Did you ask for transparency with Bob Arum? No, I didn't. Do you know why? A lot of people don't even know why, but I was signed with Bob Arum and I wasn't my own boss. I was given a guarantee for every single fight that I fought for Bob Arum and Top Rank. That's the difference, you guys. So if you guys don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. So in other words, basically, in a nutshell, despite the fact he didn't really answer the transparency issue with respect to seeing Bob Arum's books, he is arguing that at the end of the day, he's going back and forth between the numbers, and he did want a guarantee for the fight with Errol Spence, which Al Heyman apparently wasn't going to give. So Errol Spence and Terence Crawford got into a bit of a Twitter duel, if you might. And on so 24 hours after Terence Crawford had said his words with respect to what he had negotiated with these hedge funds, which I deem to be unlikely. But that's just given my experience in the business world. Errol Spence tweeted back to Terence Crawford, "Why it take you 2 weeks to say something? You tried getting your shit together, laugh out loud. We can see you looking at some flashcards or a piece of paper. Good you speaking now. I was worried." He claims that his concerns over having transparency on the revenues and expenses for the fight was a big issue that killed the negotiations. Cap. My side agreed to show him everything. The draft included specific provisions that required that both of us would receive a complete and full written detailed accounting showing all pay-per-view sales of the event, and then the status of all net revenues received and all expenses incurred and paid. This is Errol Spence. If I'm not telling the truth, tell him to post the draft. He's talking about he didn't have a guarantee and he's talking all the risk. Mother effer, I didn't even guarantee, just a higher percentage. All money, not good money. I asked him where the $50 million was coming from. Who is over the hedge fund putting the money up? He couldn't tell me. I think we all just need to meet in person. This provoked a back and forth between the pair, which can be seen on the website talksport.com, which, as I said, I posted below in the description. Crawford, by the way, he's 38-0, 29 knockouts. As I said earlier, will instead defend his 147-pound crown against Russia's David Afanasyan. He's 29-3-1, 17 knockouts, and that'll take place on December 10th in Omaha, Nebraska. Spence, for his part, is expected to face Keith Thurman. Spence is a 3-division champ, 28-0, 22 knockouts. He's the IBF, WBA, WBC 147-pound champ. But anyway, we want to see it unified, and we want to see him go up against Crawford. We all were. I'm sure you were too. But that won't happen maybe in the new year if both of them win their expected battles. And I say expected because the Spence and Thurman fight has not yet been confirmed. So I just wanted to give you a bit of an update because I got a few comments regarding my comments and the hedge funds that I mentioned, and my doubt about those hedge funds and the amounts of monies, especially given what Bob, and it just goes to show you, quite frankly, how tightly controlled the boxing industry is. And I think potentially the boxing industry, the people who control it, it's an oligarchy without a doubt. There are only 6 people really who control what goes on in the boxing world in terms of putting these fights together and offering the kinds of guarantees that they do, or in Al Heyman's case, no guarantee, yet a decent split of the anticipated pay-per-view purse, which Bob Arum would argue wouldn't be worth the risk. So let's put that aside and move along. Let's go to see what is happening in Dennis McCann's front. Dennis the Menace McCann, as you know, has been featured several times on Talk and Fight, especially by Mike Orr on his show Knuckle Up, and probably on Knockout of the Week. But anyway, he's got a fight upcoming on a card that features a bunch of other fighters. But anyway, he's on a card. Sorry, I shouldn't jump ahead, but the reality is he's on a card with WBO Interim World Superweight Middleweight Showdown between Zach Parker and John Ryder. And also has Hamza Shariz and iBox gym teammate Sam Noakes and Pierce O'Leary in championship action as well. That's taking place on November 26th at the O2 Arena. And as I say, on this undercard is one of our favorite fighters, Dennis the Menace McCann. And he promises Joe Ham that he's going to feel the power when they get into battle for the super bantamweight title that's at stake on that card. Let's have a quick look at what Dennis the Menace McCann has to say. He's talking about Ham. He is an ex-Team GB fighter and has boxed all around the world, but he hasn't met Dennis the Menace yet or fought anyone like me. When he feels the power, he is not going to like it. Trust me. You got to love what some of these guys have to say to each other. It's kind of funny. But anyway, he by the way, McCann is facing tougher tests as he moves up. His record speaks for itself. I believe he's undefeated. Let me have a quick little look here, see if you've got his record on. Yes, 13-0, 7 knockouts, and he's got some pretty good words for his opponent, Joe Ham. And if you want the full story, just go to boxing247.com, or else you'll find me talking forever on this episode. Let's move quickly forward now to Isaac Pitbull Cruz, who's managed by Manny Pacquiao Promotions, to see what he has to say about his life in the squared circle without hesitation, says this article on boxing247.com. Without hesitation, Isaac Pitbull Cruz would fight Vasil Lomachenko as Orlando Salido did, and even knock him out. This was assured by Isaac Cruz, father and coach of Pitbull Cruz, who said in an interview that he saw the Ukrainian out of rhythm and that they would already know how to defeat him. He said it would be an identical copy of the fight that Sin Salado did to Loma. He said, if Salado beat him at a certain age with great experience, I really have no doubt that we would beat Lomachenko. Because of the demonstration that Vasily Lomachenko gave against Jamin Ortiz and what he showed in the ring, Isaac Cruz thinks that his son could knock out the Ukrainian. He said, I saw him in bad shape. I have no doubt at all, and what I could confirm is that the decision would not be reached. Anyway, the European defeated Ortiz, as you all know, back in New York in an event where Loma had struggled against a rival who at times looked quite good. Loma had suffered two defeats in his career, the first in his second duel as a professional against Orlando Salido. So that same pressing strategy would be carried out by Pitbull in the eventual bout if it were to occur. Now, I have mentioned this before. This is getting, this division is getting quite heated. There are lots of verbal battles going on in the lightweight sector. But anyway, I leave it up to you at the moment. Pitbull defeated Eduardo Ramirez back on September 4th, and he's apparently taking a well-deserved break. That will see him fight again probably in March or April, according to his management team. So there you go, boxing fans. There's all the news fit to print for today, and a little bit of commentary in the introduction with respect to what I'd stated the other day, and Terence Crawford and the hedge funds that he mentioned, and the $50 million guaranteed that they were offering to see him and Errol Spence go toe-to-toe, which, quite frankly, I doubt. Not calling Errol Spence, not calling Terence Crawford a liar, but I think he might be stretching the truth on that one, because I can't see a hedge fund putting up 25 million, let alone two of them putting up 50 million to see a fight that would not, quite frankly, offer that return. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it. Remember to join Mike Gore, Cedric Ben at 4 p.m. at Knuckle Up. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And we'll see you later on. Thank you very much.